Hello. Today I will talk about business models with participation of public and private stakeholders for low carbon technologies implementation. Mongolia is characterized by its sharp continental climate, with drops in air temperature down to minus 40 degrees during winter. Almost 90% of Mongolia's overall energy supply is used for heating purposes, and the energy sector mainly reliant on coal, accounted for half of total national greenhouse gas emissions. The technology needs assessment for Mongolia highlights energy security and diversion from coal as priority goal of the energy supply sector and stresses the mitigation potential in improved heating systems. Outside the capital of Ulaanbaatar, many districts are not connected to DC heating and rely on low-efficiency water boilers that run on fossil fuels. Not only does the use of coal cause increased emissions, it also leads to a high level of pollution and great health risk for the population. Nevertheless, Mongolia was one of the front-runners ratifying the Paris Agreement. The mitigation of greenhouse gas emissions is not at satisfactory level due to several issues and barriers. One is lack of adequate funds to maintain and rehabilitate of the infrastructure in energy sector. The tariffs for energy is too low to facilitate rational and effective use of resources. Private participation interest is low, as tariffs are not at sufficient level to cover costs. As tariffs are not at sufficient level to cover costs, the energy sector is dependent on government subsidies. The pollution tax is at the symbolic level. These issues can be solved by developing a reform switching away from coal subsidies and facilitating low-carbon technologies. Capacity building and showcase of best practice demonstration project. By developing a tariff methodology focusing to cover costs, and by promoting private investment by reducing the dependency on international funds, and by developing a specific case-sensitive business models. The real action in situ was taken by UNEP-DTU partnership, which carried out the readiness project in Mongolia building on the national priorities and the ambitions set by the ATA. The project aimed to assess the potential for scaling up the use of alternative low-carbon energy sources and increase energy efficiency in DC heating systems as preparation for comprehensive project proposal to the Green Climate Fund and to develop a business model and scenarios. 2 missions completed in Mongolia during 2019-20 heating season, visiting 11 different sites to scope out the potential for upscaling this energy system and assess the readiness through stakeholder meeting and site visits. We have been visited 11 different sites outside Ulaanbaatar city in overall Mongolia. Based on the mission report, have been developed 10 rapid assessments to identify the potential of all these sites for further low-carbon technologies implementation. As you see, these sites really need rehabilitation and reconstruction, and air pollution is really high. Conducted a full feasibility study including a deep dive technical and economic analysis, including potential business models for these sites. The feasibility study combined with environmental, social and gender assessment in preparation for complete funding proposal to GCF. In just 9 months from signing the contract, the project was finalized by 2 rounds of feasibility studies. The opportunities to switch low carbon and distant heating based technologies in these 10 sites have been developed and assessed, and different technical opportunities have been provided and developed. Renewable-based technologies have been implemented in this project and proposed as closed-loop ground source heat pump systems for distant heating and domestic hot water and other technical opportunities. Heat production and capacity in selected 3 sites, Baichmendi, Kanhorin, and Kanhor village. In total, design heat load is 7 megawatts, and annual heat production is 23,000 megawatt hours. Annual reduction in greenhouse emissions in total makes about 8,000 tons of CO2 emissions. Business model scenarios is very important for these sites. These sites have a small-scale district heating with coal boilers, and only public buildings are connected, schools, kindergartens. So it makes possible to replace coal boilers by more expensive heat pumps technology. As the heat price goes up, so the contribution from the national government was considered as 10% from project capex. The GCF may provide some subsidies for the project also. So to facilitate the local financial market, the part of loans should be from international financial institutions and another part of loans from the local banks. Even the interest rate in local banks is at much higher level. As the project considers projects with public buildings connected to district heating network, the overall new heat price tariff should be calculated by the National Price Commission. From one side, this new heat price is higher comparing to existing cheap and dirty coal technologies, but as the national government pays the bills for heating, then it becomes less sensitive at what level this new price tariff would be set, as the national government pays for heating services. Nevertheless, for the residential sector, it's cheaper to heat premises by coal, but the case in Mongolia shows that applying a specific business model, there is a way to switch to low-carbon technologies if there is a support from national government and the most sensitive consumers are not influenced by this tariff. The total capex for the project makes about 16 million USD. Total initial investment about 16, government funding about 10%, that makes 1.8 million USD, and external funding 90%, 14.8 million USD. And this specific case business model scenarios, we see that capex, one amount from capex should be provided grants from national government. Another part of grants from the international financial institutions as GCF, EBRD. Third part of loan from local market, from local banks to support local market. And also loans from international market, from international financial institutions and banks. To facilitate public-private partnership, the operation and maintenance should be transferred to private partners. As it was mentioned before, the national government sets the tariff of heat energy price, and after, based on this tariff, the public buildings, they receive bills for heating, and based on these bills, the government laid down the money to cover these bills and pay for heat energy services. So in this case, it becomes clear that having this model, then national government identifies and by the help of national price commissions set tariff for heat energy. So it becomes possible and viable to have this business model when the bills from public buildings are paid by national government. Thank you.